Hi everybody, how are you doing today? I have to apologize again. Last night I got started late like I am tonight, and it's already dark out. I wanted to start this before then, but I'm in a place where I can actually see a little bit, so hopefully I will be fine with reading, and I only have a little portion I have to read off the phone tonight, so... there's something I've been wanting to go over for a while now, and I couldn't find the perfect spot to introduce it. So here it is. This is like the perfect time to talk about it. Now, like I was saying a couple videos back, and again, this thank you to my subscriber, when I was talking about people pleasing and fear and being afraid that people won't let you fit in or stay in their group or get mad or push you out because you have different opinions. And then I talked about how people attack each other, or people, not each other, but people start attacks on people's comments, whether it's on YouTube or other social media platforms. They decide to start attacking people on them. And this is how I feel it comes out. It's called the straw man fallacy. And a straw man is a form of argument and an informal fallacy of having the impression of refuting an argument, whereas the proper idea of the argument under discussion was not addressed or properly refuted. One who engages in this fallacy is said to be attacking the straw man. And here's some other ways to see it, this is how I see it on social media. It is where one exaggerates someone's argument and uses this exaggeration as a way of disproving one's argument without actually paying attention to the original argument raised. There's another one when it's when someone takes the argument of another person and distorts it or simplifies it and attacks that version of the argument instead of the original one. And here's an example. You should limit your video game usage because it can get in the way of your homework or chores. So you're saying I should never have any fun? Sorry, I gotta put that up though. I don't want the outside sound coming in. So that is not what the person said, but that's the way they want to fight back. The main one I see is distorting not just the argument, but the comments. So if somebody's jumping on there and doing it to you, just ignore it because it's childish and it's ridiculous, okay? And you know they're just looking for a fight. Now, let's jump into following the corruption real quick, and then I'm gonna jump off here and do my next video. Okay. In Chicago, Illinois, former Commonwealth Edison executive and consultants charged with conspiracy to corrupt, influence, and reward state of Illinois official. Former Commonwealth Edison executive, including the former chief executive officer, conspired with outside consultants to corruptly influence and reward a higher level elected official for the state of Illinois to assist with the passage of legislation favorable to the electric utilities company, according to an indictment returned by the U.S. District Court in Chicago. The indictment charged 4 individuals with bribery, conspiracy, and willfully falsifying ComEd books and records. Now, here's the 4 people. This is a small portion I got to read off the phone because I just was not going to write all this down. Michael McLean worked as a lobbyist and or consultant for ComEd after serving in Illinois House Representatives in 1970s to the early 1980s. And I know I'm not going to get this lady's last name right, but it's Anne Permaguir. 62. I know all of us can't pronounce these weird names right, so. And later, okay, she was the CEO of ComEd from 2012 to 2018, and later served as a senior executive and an affiliate of Exelon Corp, of which ComEd was a subsidiary. John Hooker served as ComEd's Executive Vice President of Legislation and External Affairs from 2009 to 2012, after which he worked as an external lobbyist for ComEd. J. Dorothy, 67, of Chicago. Dorothy owned J.D. Dorothy and Associates. Okay, she owned J.D. Dorothy and Associates, which performed consulting services for ComEd from approximately 2011 to 2019. These were the four involved in this corruption scheme. And they're all very high-leveled officials. And I look like a monster tonight. Sorry, guys. Now, here's another one in Athens, Georgia. Former Oconee HR director, guilty of aggravated identity theft in public corruption scheme, is sentenced to prison. The former Oconee County Human Resources Director, who admitted to stealing taxpayers' money in a complicated paycheck scheme, has been sentenced to prison for her crime and will have to pay restitution. This is Sherry Turner, Selly. I just read this and right a few minutes ago. Celia, 52, sentenced to 24 months in prison after she pled guilty to one count of aggravated identity theft, plus paid restitution of $118,451.80. There's your corruption for that. Okay, now we're going to Ohio. Cincinnati, Ohio. Cincinnati City Council member arrested, charged with accepting $40,000 in bribes. Alexander Stettenfield, also known as PG, 36, of Cincinnati, allegedly accepted 8 checks totaling $40,000 in exchange for specific actions in his role in this city, as a city official. So sorry. So now we have Pennsylvania, 3 city of Philadelphia Revenue Department employees charged with soliciting and accepting bribes. All 3 were charged with 1 count of federal program bribery. This was a very long story, so I didn't delve into it because it would have took me forever. But again, we're just looking at the charges and the people. Jared McQueen, 50, $9,000 in bribes. DeMary's, and that's the name, DeMary's. Natel, 56, $26,600 in bribes. Nicole Mixon, 44, $22,300 in bribes. So that's $9,000, $26,000, and $600, and $22,300 in bribes. Former FCI Miami correction officer involved in bribery scheme sentenced to 70 months imprisonment. This is in Miami, Florida. For sneaking contraband items into the Miami prison where he worked and distributing them to inmates in exchange for bribe money. Victor Manuel I think it's DeSeuss is how they pronounce it. It's like the D Jesus, but I think that it's DeSeuss. I'm pretty sure. I think so. 48 brought into, he's 48 and he brought in items such as controlled substances, cell phones, and SIM card. Pled guilty to conspiracy, bribery, and other charges. So we have more correction officers bringing in contraband and substances and whatever else they can bring in, but they considered to be higher than normal regular people. They're above them, and they look at them like, scumbags, but they're in there doing the same thing. What makes those people any better than the ones in there? They're all criminals. And yet, if you get charged with something as a citizen, you go to jail and for a good amount of time, and you're considered a criminal and a lowlife and this, that, and the other. But these higher position people with all this money, if they commit a crime and they go to prison, or even if they commit a crime and don't end up doing any time because of who they are and their positions and their money, they're not considered to be that scumbag criminal. How do you figure this double standard? I can't make any sense of that. If you're committing crimes, you're a criminal. Whether you've made one mistake or 10 mistakes, or you're doing it as a rich person or a poor person, you're still committing crimes. And I don't understand how people who do crimes that don't hurt anybody but themselves get more time than crimes that people do that hurt a lot of people. How does that make sense? But the government, again, has got that set up in the way that the wealthy and the privileged are going to stay privileged in any circumstance. And the people without all that money are going to pay a steep price. This is what needs to be fixed in the system today. Especially when the crime that you're committing is hurting multiple people, but the crime somebody else is committing is not hurting anybody but themselves. The one that's hurting more people should have the bigger sentence. I'm sorry. It just doesn't make sense. Everything is so backwards to protect certain people. And nobody has more rights than anybody else, even though the government and the judges have made laws to protect the privileged people. That has to be fixed. Okay. And this is in Newark, New Jersey. Former city of Newark official charged with scheming with 2 Newark businessmen to obtain bribes. A former city of Newark official and officer of the Newark Community Economics Department Corporation, NCEDC, and 2 business owners were charged for their roles in bribery schemes. Carmelo G. Garcia, 45, Frank Valvano Jr., 52, Erwin Sablowski, 60, each charged by complaint with 1 count of conspiracy to commit bribery in connection with the business and transactions of a federal-funded local government and organization. Garcia was a high-level Newark official and, prior to that, an executive officer of the NCDEC, known as Ivest Newark. Alvano and, Sablowski are co-owners of a New Jersey-based pawnbroker and jewelry business. these two and others paid Garcia to use his position to exchange to secure redevelopment agreements plus much more. Okay, so I had to make this again was a very, very long story. I was scrolling forever. Basically, these two businessmen were paying off and rewarding the Garcia, the high-level executive, to set up and secure buildings and businesses for redevelopment that he had control over, I guess, giving them the letting them buy the building for redevelopment. So he was making sure they were getting the buildings instead of, I guess, probably auctioning them off. So he was taking the money to guarantee them the area for redevelopment, or the buildings or companies that had closed down. Again, there it is. Following your corruption in your country. And shows you people with money and people with power and people with positions feel they can do anything they want and use their positions in any way they want, and that they're untouchable. And even when they get caught, they're really not touched because they get a slap on the wrist and on to the next. So what have they learned? And a lot of these don't have the penalties in them, so I can't put them in there. That's why I let it go a couple months before the beginning of the year, because the cases will probably fall into our year. So I felt that was fair. And then once I hit, like I said, in January, I think the first one is on the 7th, I will let you guys know. These were done in November, and I'm almost to December. These are new. These are crimes that have just been committed and just haven't been through the courts yet. Some have been through the courts, and those ones I told you about. But it's nothing new, and it's everywhere. That's why I want to give you the locations of them. And in some reports, you'll see me mentioning the same towns and cities over again. So we don't hear about this in our everyday news because they don't want us to. They don't want to let us know the corruption that's going on in the government every single day and in several places. Whether it's the same states, different states, it's going on everywhere. It is so corrupted out there. And you're wondering why, again, our country is in the financial mess it's in. It's because either politicians are making horrible deals, they're bankrupting our country by sending money elsewhere instead of putting it in here. They're stealing it. Their employees are stealing it. They're doing so much damage to our country, and then they can't even help their own people. Why? Because of their choices and their belief in basically feeling so powerful that they can do these things and not get caught, or get caught and not get in any trouble. Look at that. 12 months in a federal prison. Whoop-de-doo. For somebody who's been defrauding hundreds of thousands of dollars off the government. 12 months. People do years for having a little bit of something they shouldn't have on them. So this is why our country is in the state it's in. They're, again, either sending money in other places instead of taking care of us right here at home. They're financially making bad decisions with our money. Their employees are stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from different offices every day, whether it's the Department of Revenue, it's the Health Department, it's the, what was the other one I did? It was another federally funded building and department. And then you have even the health department was getting hit and money stolen from it. So that's just in the last couple days that I've read several stories on that. And several of the stories were right in a row, just like the one time before we had the correction officers right in a row. These are all coming out of our pockets, our taxpayers' money. And if it's being done every day all over the world through different buildings, that's a lot of money being stolen and lost. So there's your corruption for today. I thank you guys for being here with me. I'm going to jump off here because I got one more video that I gotta do for you guys. And when I get home, I'll put them together and post them both up. Please stay with me. Stay following me. If you love the information and you enjoy the channel, please subscribe, send subscribers, and let's get talking about this. We have to do something to make a difference and make a change in what is going on today. This is getting out of hand and ridiculous, and the only people who are paying the price are the citizens. So it's time to do something about it. All right, guys, I love you. Take care. Love your family. They're what means the most and matter the most. And I will see you in my next video. God bless. Thank you.